the most common question is, can I be cooked? Which is...
Oh, you're cooked already if you're asking that question.
Welcome to the first episode of VelociTEA, our new podcast at Freeman Forrest. Hey, Forrest, how's it going?
It's going great, Emily. I'm so happy to be here.
I know.
This is a lot of fun.
This is like the fourth time we've ever been in the same room together, which is crazy.
Yes, that is true. I think we have probably hired more employees than we have actually
easy.
spent more time in the same room with each other.
Probably 2x. Yeah, I agree.
So not how we would recommend starting a fairly high pressure business.
Or maybe we would, because things have gone well for us.
I don't know. I mean, I think about that a lot. And I think about, you always hear founders telling you this story of here's what you should do based on what I did.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'd be much more likely to say, here's all the things I would never recommend that you try, right? Now the fact that it semi-worked empowers me to say, I can't believe we ever thought that would work.
Oh, I do. I think I think a lot about the talk we'll give after this, and it's, all the things. What's fascinated me is just how I approached this business and thought, okay, I'm not going to make any of the mistakes my friends have made. And then I proceeded to make every single fucking mistake.
Yes, but to your credit, you made them really fast.
I did. I just ran through a speed run of mistakes.
Yeah. I like how we're talking about this in the past tense, the mistakes are behind us now.
Exactly. We've got it all figured out. So I guess we should introduce who we are if people don't know.
Well, I suppose we should. My name is Forrest, Forrest Brazeal. It's pronounced like the country if you live in the country, but it's a very Irish name. Sometimes people ask about that. Yeah, I've been in the tech industry for a while. I worked at Google Cloud most recently. I was a software engineer for a long time before that. What about you?
I am Emily Freeman. I was at Amazon before founding Freeman Forrest with you, and then before that, Microsoft. But tech is my second career. I was a writer. I feel like I had such a circuitous path, 14 different careers in politics and PR and writing, and then I finally came to tech.
What were you elected to?
No one has been foolish enough to put me on a ballot. No, I worked on all sorts of campaigns in Florida, actually, which is an interesting state to be.
I would imagine so.
A Democrat.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we claimed we were going to do an icebreaker question. I feel like we've just barreled right in.
I have a favorite icebreaker.
Okay,
do you want it? Okay. If you were a potato, what kind of potato would you be?
Okay, this is the kind of question I hate.
I love it so much. I do this all the time, and people get so, the reactions to this icebreaker are so funny, because the most common question is, can I be cooked? Which is...
Oh, you're cooked already if you're asking that question.
You can be whatever you want to be. But yeah, what kind of potato?
Well, gosh, I mean, since you're putting me on the spot, I guess I'd have to say a red Pontiac, otherwise known as a Dakota Chef.
Wait, I've never even heard of this potato.
Oh, it's a great little red potato. It was created in the 1940s by a guy named J.W. Weston.
Although,
interestingly, he's actually from Florida.
You're ridiculous. You actually looked this up.
Maybe I just know a lot about potatoes.
Oh, my God. Did you? Is this in your ChatGPT?
But no, I grew up near Pontiac, Michigan, so this potato holds a special place in my heart.
Okay.
And occasionally in my stomach. No, I'm not sure I've ever actually eaten one, but they do look pretty.
Do they? Okay. Yeah. I like it. Okay.
See, it's a fundamentally insincere question requiring an insincere answer, so here we are.
I like that.
What kind of potato would you be?
So I like two answers because I'm indecisive. I like either just a traditional, russet French fry potato.
As one does.
I love a russet potato. You can fry them, smash them, stick them in a stew. But I also really like little purple potatoes. I don't necessarily love eating them. I don't go grocery shopping for purple potatoes.
Oh, that would be insane.
It would be insane. But I love living in a world where there are purple potatoes.
Yes.
Sometimes I think around, I'll go to the zoo and there's a giraffe. Or my daughter's currently obsessed with isopods, which are roly-polies or isopods. Yes. But there's also larger ones. If you want to horrify yourself, go ahead and look that up. And these things are fundamentally alien. The fact that they exist on Earth with me is just the coolest thing in the world.
That is very cool. Yeah. Well, now that we've covered alien potatoes, we should probably talk about what else our business was formed to discuss.
Well, I want to talk about how we formed, because that's the questions I always get. And I have my way of telling the story, but I'm kind of curious about your way of telling the story.
I mean, my way of telling the story is that I tricked you into doing it. And it was, we were several months down the road before you realized that it was too late to back out. What's your version?
I always say that I rage quit Amazon, and then a little bit after you rage quit Google. And although we had very broadly known each other,
Yes.
like friends of a friend, we had never really met or chatted. We talked about doing a podcast together, so we had some conversations around that.
Yes.
And then one day you call me up and you're like, Emily, I think we should sell influencer marketing to tech companies and they'll pay for it. And I was like, I don't know. I was like, I don't know if this will be successful. That's you think people will pay for that? You're like, yes. And I was like, okay, let's try it out.
I mean, in fairness, like the reason I thought that is I had been talking to a bunch of different, CMOs and VCs over the course of that spring after I wouldn't say rage quit Google. I would say, I don't know, mental health quit Google might be the kind way of saying it. And as
Whatever makes you feel more calm.
As I was gradually returning to my preferred version of myself, I was having some exploratory conversations about what to do next. And I was having a conversation with Martin Casado, who we love over at Andreessen Horowitz, and he was like, if you can come up, I had a completely different idea, which was stupid, and he very kindly didn't tell me that, but he was like, if instead of doing that, you were to bring influencer marketing to tech companies, like people would beat a path to your door for that.
Amazing.
And so I think I called you like that same afternoon because we had been talking about doing a podcast, which we had not done until now, a year and a half later. So really all of this has been leading up to the podcast.
Exactly.
What you're watching now is the culmination of this whole
pre-work
influencer marketing side hustle that we started.
Amazing.
So here we are, and now we're like a year and a half into this, I think.
I know, which is wild. And here's the best part. So at a high level, Freeman Forrest, or F&F as we call it, really builds influencer marketing programs that are scalable and measurable for B2B tech companies.
Which does not sound off the top of your head like something anyone would want. So I think your reaction was fair.
It's fair. It's also different because, when we think of influencers, we think of people who sell mascara on Instagram. And damn it, do they sell mascara well? Because I have lots of Instagram products in my drawers. But we think of this like B2C. B2B is much more interesting in some ways because it is not as direct. If I go to Instagram and see a mascara I like, I will buy that mascara typically within 5 minutes.
Yes.
B2B is a very different sales cycle. We're selling to leaders and people who implement these sort of usually dev tools, AI tools, and the sales cycle is much longer.
But there's a much bigger, reward at the end of it, right? Like, what's the total lifetime value of a mascara customer?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe a couple $100 if they stick with the product long term, right?
Like over their life.
Over their lifetime. I mean, I say this as someone who buys a lot of mascara as well, so I feel
I've seen.
Yeah. But no, I on the B2B side, of course, that's a 7, 8, 9-figure IT budget that they control, right? So it's very, very high stakes to figure out how to bring the right products in front of these people and make sure that they clearly understand what the products do. Something that I think led me to start talking to you about this business was I was reading all of these landing pages, these splash pages for these startups, and I would read for 5 minutes and I would understand less about the company than I did when I started.
Yeah.
I would be like, oh, I mean, not only do I not think I'm the target audience for this, I'm not sure that they know what the target audience for it is.
They usually don't. Yeah, you're right.
I think that they are building something because they wanted to build something, right?
Totally.
And so it's not that it's not a good product, but there's so many additional skills that are needed to effectively tell a story to the right people.
Yes, and I think having an idea. I mean, how many conversations have we had with folks where it's like, "Who's your audience?" Everyone. It's like, no.
Pick one.
Try again. You can always have an ancillary audience. You can have a secondary audience, tertiary. We can do whatever, but that primary audience has to be pretty scoped down so that you can add the right flavor and nuance and message to reach them.
Yeah, and I think to do that, you have to be able to think a little bit differently. One of the things that I like about the two of us is that people always assume
We like us?
No, I mean, I like certain things about myself. You have to hold on to those things to get through the day.
Yeah.
Especially when you run a business because you're constantly presented with your failures.
Oh my God, that's a whole separate episode on just surviving that from a mental health perspective.
Yeah, because you live and die by every little thing.
Oh, yeah.
But a lot of times people assume that, I think both of us live in the Bay Area.
Yes.
Or at least in New York or Seattle or somewhere. We actually do not. Emily, you are based in
Denver,
which is where we're currently filming this episode. I'm based in Davidson, North Carolina, which is near Charlotte. Neither of us has ever lived in the Bay Area, I don't think.
No, I've tricked everyone into thinking that I live in either San Francisco or Seattle, and by tricked, I mean they just assume.
Sure. Yeah, if you stay really quiet about it and
Yeah.
show up to all the meetings on time.
Yeah, but I've always been in Denver. Love Denver.
Right. And there was a period of time, I think, in tech, during the pandemic where that was a little bit more accepted. And now it's hard gone back to the in-office
the swing
in the
back.
hubs kind of world.
I mean, I think did that factor in with you? It factored in with me with Amazon.
Oh, it definitely factored in.
No
Yeah, I would never
feature.
have gone to work for Google, which I started doing in 2021, if
Yeah.
not for the pandemic, because I would have had to move out to San Francisco, and that wouldn't have made sense for my life at that time.
No.
And then I got out, I think, right about the time they were starting to really crack back down on bringing people back in the office. But so anyway, so we kind of got some of that experience without having to live in the area itself. And I feel like for me anyway, it lets you look with a little bit of a fresher set of eyes, right? While still understanding the industry.
Definitely. I think so. And you have that kind of, you don't get sucked into the same kind of train of thought. I think when you're around the same kind of messaging with the same kind of people,
Yes.
it's just very easy to slot into that kind of groove. And we just don't because of where we live.
I will never forget coming into San Francisco for the first time after ChatGPT dropped, and it was like a few months into everybody all of a sudden talking about AI. It was the most amazing thing to come into the city. Every billboard, every bus stop sign, every side of a building where something can be painted or appliqued, right? It's all shilling some sort of AI product.
Absolutely.
And I know the people that are there are aware of that too, but if that's all you're in all the time, right?
Yeah.
How do you zoom back enough from to say, okay, what's actually valuable here and what is unique about the product rather than what's the same about the product?
Yes, exactly. And I think that's where some of our magic sauce, and I want to ask in a second, like what you think, what has surprised you about influencer marketing? Because I have lots of answers around that. But I completely agree. I think one of the reasons we are very useful to tech companies is we have a little bit more of a perspective and we understand that it's not just about the flavor of the tech or, this being the most novel engineering approach or whatever it actually may be. It's like, where is the business value to your customer and how do we drive that home? Because at the end of the day, they're not going to care if it's the most beautifully coded tool in the world. It's like, does it solve my problem or not?
Yeah, exactly. Or does it solve a problem?
Yeah.
Is the first question. Or is it a solution in search of a problem? And this is the two of us, like we've just been for the last 5 minutes kind of hyping ourselves up for, how good we are, which is totally fair and we should do that. But I think what we've learned over the last year and a half is that, it boils down to just executing over and over again to try to bring that to fruition. So we've had to learn how to go from being, I would say, somewhat coddled big tech employees.
Oh, yeah.
In, a relative sense to having to make it work in a startup. What's been the biggest surprise for you about that?
I think I have two sort of flavors of surprises. One is exactly what you're talking about, which is going from this big tech to founder. I had worked at startups. I know you had too. So that I knew I could exist in both environments. But it is interesting being a founder because all problems are your problem.
Yes.
There is no escalation path when it is your company. You are the path. And that was something I've had to adjust to. And I'm still adjusting to, because you get hit with these things and it's like, you don't know if you're making the right decision or what and you just kind of have to go with it. And sometimes you have data and sometimes you don't. Like in the early days, you don't.
You don't have any data. And sometimes you have just enough data to trick yourself into thinking you have data, right?
Yes. That's true.
But I think, again, a year and a half into this, I feel like we've trusted our guts on a lot of things.
We have.
Our guts have been right more often than not. In the cases where our guts have been wrong, thankfully, in most cases, we've been able to recover from it pretty quickly. So it's been like a 24-hour flu bug. It hasn't been...
Yeah, we haven't been taken out by pneumonia yet.
Right.
No FNF tuberculosis.
No, because that spreads quickly and it's hard to shake. That's when you end up in the sanatorium for years on end.
Which Denver actually used to be a great
Denver
city
used to be,
for that.
yes.
I like it. Has anything, though, surprised you about actually influencer marketing? Because I came in with a lot of assumptions around what would make a great influencer marketing program, and I was wrong about a lot of them.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think the original assumption I had was the sort of agency-based approach that we started with was a detour from what really needed to be built, which was like a marketplace for influencers to go and hawk their wares and for companies to go and select influencers like, you're selecting products on Amazon, and did not take long to realize that while that might seem like it would be useful, it's not actually what brands and what marketing teams want.
Oh, and we got so much pushback from other founders, from VCs, a lot of folks that we asked for advice early on. They said, do not do an agency. No one wants to buy an agency. You have to build the SaaS product. Yeah. But if I had just gone in, raised money, and built a platform, I would have built the wrong platform.
Absolutely, you would have. And not just because, I don't have any faith in you to build the correct platform.
Wrong.
But yeah, because we would have built, I think, the approach to the problem that you would expect coming in from the outside.
Yeah.
But when you sit down and embed really deeply with a whole bunch of different product marketers and people who are playing the game for real with stakes, what they end up discovering, and you end up discovering through them, is the hard problems to solve is not necessarily just going and booking a bunch of influencers. Like that can be done.
Totally.
There are marketplaces out there that will do that. It's booking the right influencers and having them actually say things that people want to listen to.
Yes.
That takes a lot more intelligence. And it's not to say that there can't be SaaS services built around that, but I don't think it's that marketplace product.
Yeah. Or just understanding what ROI for influencers actually looks like. I think it's easy to look at, well, we want the big names. And when we talk to, clients or potential clients, a lot of times that's kind of their assumption. We want the people we've always heard of, the people we feel like are influential because they watch them or whatever. And sometimes those people are exactly the right people, but sometimes it's just a big name. It doesn't actually drive outcomes. And so thinking from that data-driven approach, I think is a big differentiator for us.
Absolutely. And it's knowing who your customer is too. So anybody who's listening to this and thinking about starting a startup, it's easy to optimize for the wrong customer.
Yeah.
To build a product for the person who isn't actually incentivized to buy it and isn't incentivized to have the right kind of win out of it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of startups out there selling products that may deliver an interesting result, but it doesn't actually make anyone look good internally at the company.
It's so true.
That's a hard product to sell long term.
It's true.
So how do you make influencer marketing level up the marketing teams that are using it?
Yeah.
That's something that we spend a lot of time working on.
Okay, enough about us. What do we want from this podcast? What are your goals for VelociTEA?
Isn't that also a question about us?
Maybe, but it's like the thing that we're creating, not us.
Yeah, well, I think first we should talk about what the name VelociTEA even means.
I just like velociraptors. No, I think like we were playing on tech words because we talk a lot how we're not in a tech center, and there's just some words that continuously show up, and one of them is velocity.
Yes, leverage, innovation, transformation. We're trying to get away from these buzzwords. So what better way to do that than by reclaiming and deconstructing them? So yeah, I think in VelociTEA, spelled TEA, we're going to try to be as sassy as possible about B2B SaaS, and to speak about it in a human way.
Yeah.
So we speak to a lot of marketers. We speak to a lot of growth teams, a lot of folks trying to do GTM in a world that's moving very, very quickly. We're going to try to be very honest with you. We'll try to be funny. We'll have some silly little funny segments. We're trying to build kind of like the wait, don't tell me of tech podcasts. We'll see if that works out or not. It's been a long time dream of mine.
Can't wait for NPR to send us a
cease
letter.
And desist. Exactly. I'm not sure NPR has the funding anymore to send to even buy a postage stamp, but
their lawyers have quit. Oh, that's sad.
Sorry. That took us to a sadder place than I meant. No, but we'll see what happens with this. We will also have some guests come on. We again work with a lot of amazing product marketers. We're gonna have them come on hopefully and share some of their stories. Because they're the ones who are doing it day in and day out. And we'll try to remain friends and co-founders.
Love it.
If we have an episode at some point, it's just one of us on here.
And then it's just like we just won't. There will be no acknowledgement.
F and F has just become F with no explanation.
That'd be amazingly bad. That's the title of this episode, just F.
Yes. Well, I've often thought the tagline for our business should be use F and F or you're F and F'd.
Why don't we have a T-shirt like that?
Well,
you've been sitting on that, Forrest. Are you kidding me right now?
I feel like I mentioned it before.
I don't think you did.
Well, anyway, this is why we have the podcast.
Okay,
so now I can't
ideas.
go back on these things. Okay, I have another question for you though.
Yeah.
Which is, because we talked a little bit about going from big tech to startup founders. I know a lot of our friends are still in kind of that big tech world. I talk to folks every day who are like, "Oh, I want to go do my own thing. I can't wait to get out of the the 9 to 5."
0 out of 10. Don't worry.
Yeah. What's the first thing you would say to that person?
Literally what I just said. Yeah. I went to a fundraiser in Philadelphia with a bunch of Wharton students, and they were just so enthralled with the idea of becoming a founder. And I was like, 0 out of 10. I cry every day. Don't recommend. That's not totally true, but it is way harder than I thought it was going to be. I mean, I think it is both like children, it is both the most delightful thing I've done. And I'm so proud of us. Like, I'm so proud of what we've built. I'm proud of our staff. I'm proud of everything. Yeah. And it is brutal.
It is very difficult. We're a bootstrap company. We do not have venture capital funding. We're a consistently profitable company, but that just means that you have to actually plan and spend the money you have.
Make good investments.
You have to run your business, like a business. And that's been a challenge.
has.
It's been a maturity thing. I would never encourage anyone to start a startup like this, especially not a startup like this, right? Where you're not going through an incubator and you don't have a ton of support around you.
Yeah.
Unless you are okay with living in a lot of uncertainty and ambiguity for a long period of time.
Yeah, that's completely fair. And on that happy note.
Oh, I love it. I don't want to, like, this is the best thing that I've ever personally been involved with.
Oh,
It
I
makes me
love
happy every day to
that.
come to work. We have an incredible team of folks with
We
us
do.
now. It is not just Emily and me. So even though we're
No.
the two on the podcast, we are two of a small army of absolutely incredible folks.
Yeah.
And, we'll hope to share, more of what we all have learned as a company as we go along here.
I love it. I'm excited.
All right?
All right,
Well,
thanks.
we'll see you on the next episode of, what are we calling it again? VelociTEA.
VelociTEA.
Yes, B2B SaaS. Well, thanks once again for joining us. I have been Forrest Brazeal. This is Emily Freeman, my co-founder at Freeman Forrest. Our thanks to Britton Noel and Tyler Freeman, our wonderful producers on this episode. As always, it really, really helps us if you like, share, subscribe, however you engage with your podcast. Tell your friends. And if you have something you want us to talk about, let us know. Tweet at us. Tell us what we need to talk about on the next episode. Thank you.